Bryn is here with his wife. They've driven all the way down from Wellsboro, and we welcome them and look forward to hearing what you have to say on hydraulic fracking and the effect of it in your community. I'm going to sit here for the panelists, and after about 10 minutes I'll stand up to let you know that it's about time to wind it up, and we'll go from there. So, Bryn?
If I can be heard and sit, you want me to stand, Jane? Let me see if I have a good projection. Thank you. If you can't hear, raise your hand. You can't hear?
No, I can hear fine.
Oh, you can hear fine. Okay, I'll try to be loud. Our minute is not an absolute, does not call for banning to, for fracking to be banned, but it calls for it to, for a moratorium until it can be put back under the Clean Air and Clean Water Acts. And I know we're not in a partisan setting, but I will say that the reason fracking is not under the Clean Air and Clean Water Acts is called the Halliburton or the Bush-Cheney exemption. And it was passed by Congress in 2005 and exempts in using patriotism and energy independence and all the right buzzwords that get many of our fellow citizens willing to overlook other issues. And as Mark Twain said, patriotism is the last refuge of scoundrels, which says nothing about Bush and Cheney. This is nonpartisan. But anyway, oil and gas energy exploration were taken out from the Clean Air and Clean Water Acts. The United States EPA, I have a number of documents which are available online. I'm not a computer person. I hope you could find them without my help, because I'm sure I could never find them again. But one thing that's interesting is they're never dated. I'm dumbfounded. Official documents of the United States government, but this is the United States Environmental Protection Agency, Region 3, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Arch Street, just a couple blocks from 1515 Cherry, the home of Philadelphia Yearly Meeting. And Seneca, one of the major, Seneca Resources Corporations, one of the major players in hydraulic fracturing, is now going to have the first underground injection in Pennsylvania. It's going to be out in Elk County, which is far away, but they get one, they're going to get more. And this is one of my main concerns. And it was, the approval was delayed. There were an awful lot of public comments, opposition, but the final permit was just admitted as approved and issued early in 2014. And as I say, undated. But anyway, I want to read you what they wrote in their approval, in their preliminary approval report. Number 13, page 10. Are the fluids being injected in Elk County in these underground wells, deep wells, are the fluids being injected toxic, hazardous, and or radioactive? And this is the EPA answer. Individual constituents within the brine produced during an oil or gas production can be toxic, hazardous, or radioactive. However, these fluids, when produced in association with oil and gas production, are exempt from hazardous waste regulation and are not classified as hazardous under the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, 42 U.S.C. Section 6901 et sequence. Therefore, the Underground Injection Control Program does not regulate fluids produced in association with oil and gas production as hazardous waste. So we're in 1984, or some of the other fantasies of Orwell and Huxley and others, where black is white, yes is no, war is peace. And so my concern as a resident of Pennsylvania, where our Constitution guarantees us clean air and clean water, is that nobody can guarantee us clean air and clean water if federal law trumps state law and the federal government, by an act of Congress and signed by the president, exempts an industry that's a major polluter from any regulation, any consideration under clean air and clean water laws. So that's the here and now, that's current, that's what's happening. And when we have one deep well injection in Elk County, there'll be more. I think you've all heard about the injection wells in Ohio and Oklahoma, and now apparently in a third state, that are blamed for low-level earthquakes in areas that had not had earthquakes historically. But the earthquake is the least of the thing. We can patch cracked walls, but it's hard to patch polluted water. And so just a brief history. I wanted to get that out of the way because that was reading from our government's documentation that say they can't do anything. So then we go to what can we do? I moved up to Tioga County from the Quaker town area in 1971 as a 24-year-old back to the land hippie. I was gonna, groove in the country, and I'm still there. I found that I couldn't live on my grooving in the country, so I went to nursing school and worked as a nurse until just last fall. But I still love Tioga County. It's a beautiful area of the state. Under Governor Rendell, before he discovered, before natural gas was discovered, we were going to be the Pennsylvania Wilds. We were going to be Cherry Springs State Park in Potter County, just a little west of us, has the Dark Sky Initiative, and it's allegedly one of the best places for viewing the cosmos, for viewing the sky east of the Mississippi River and south of the presidential, I don't know where, but it's a major dark sky area, and Rendell, they had all this stuff printed up, but then they discovered natural gas in the Marcellus Shale, and to be nonpartisan, Rendell jumped right in there and was issued leases for state land, and he started the ball rolling, thinking maybe he could save his legacy by not leaving the state completely broke because of the economic downturn, which we won't get into where that came from. But so actually most of the forest land, if not all of it that was leased under Governor Rendell. In Governor Corbett's original budget, there was some talk that he would propose leasing additional. He did not. But in the next year's budget, he is proposing additional money from additional leasing. And certainly there's a lot of support both within the Bureau of Forestry, which is part of the DCNR, and also within DEP. But these are people that are government employees, state government employees, and have a hard time speaking out. But a number of the district foresters have publicly said that they don't think additional forest land, state forest land, should be leased. And I urge you to look into those efforts, because that's one area, I mean, when we talk to ourselves, we can all feel good about it, but we are obviously not electing our government, and we've got to reach out to a bigger group. And actually for our local Wellsboro environmental group, I've been selling raffle tickets as a non-gambling Quaker for many years in Cedar Run, and before bear season and deer season. And the last 2 years, I've heard an awful lot of hunters complain bitterly about the impact of the pipeline development, which is going to speak dearly to you in this area, I understand. But that the gas lines aren't crossing Pine Creek, so they're going up on the ridges on either side. If you drive up Route 15 at night, you can just see bright lights in parts of the sky, and that's wherever the big rigs are. And they're often out of sight in a valley, but you just see the clouds lit up as though there was a big city there. But there isn't a big city. There's a 10-acre, 20-acre well pad. And the pipelines go in, they love to go up. It's much harder for equipment to work on a side hill, so they go up and down, rather than snaking around like a highway. They'd rather go up and down. So they go right up over ridge tops and down into valleys. And okay, I've shared my pain. Thank you.